with a new video. Obviously, by the title, you guys know. This is going to be kind of, I don't know if it's necessarily like a story time, but just sharing with you things that I've gotten done to my body, to my face, as well as an upcoming surgery that I have, which by the time you guys watch this, I will probably already either be in surgery or have had the surgery or recovering, something along those lines. I wanted to share with you guys because I felt like this could be really helpful to a lot of people. I get a lot of questions in my DMs on Instagram about this. And so I figured it'd be nice to have a video that I can reference that kind of just shares my experience, my thoughts, and all of that with you. So if you are new, welcome to my channel. My name is Cassie. I hope you enjoyed this video and you decided to stay a while. Hit that subscribe button before you leave and give the video a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. That is a thing. I'll start this video out with a little disclaimer because I feel like we live in a day and age now that like everything has to come with a disclaimer. This is just my experience. It's things that I wanted to do. I did them for me. I didn't do them for anyone else. Me sharing this with you does not mean that you need to go out and do this. Obviously, think for yourself. Do things for the right reasons. Trust who you're going to for any procedures or surgery, regardless of whether it's cosmetic or not. And yeah, this is not me telling you you need to go have surgery. I'm just sharing my experience because with my impending surgery, I have been watching so many recovery videos so that I know what to expect. And so I find these videos really helpful if you are somebody that is just generally curious about the topic, or if this is something that you are looking to do for yourself. So with that said, again, think for yourself, do it for the right reasons. Don't do anything because somebody else is pressuring you to, says you should. Don't do it because you are looking at social media and comparing yourself with other people. Be smart, do things for you. Don't be influenced by other people's decisions, and use this more as like either, hey, I'm curious and so I want to know, or a reference for somebody else's experience of something that you may be wanting to get done. Okay, so we're gonna start all the way from the beginning. For me, that was 2007. In January 2007, I got a breast augmentation. It was right before I was getting married, and I had always had really small boobs. Now, I was 19, almost 20. So I got it done in January. My birthday was in March. My wedding at that time was in June. So I wanted to, I'd wanted it for a long time. I had no chest. I had no boobs. I was pretty flat. Also, my body type has 0 curves. So I don't have a butt. I don't have hips. I'm very much straight up and down. And on the sides, I'm very straight up and down. So I have very much like not a square, a rectangle body. Like I just have no curves, literally no curves. And so for me, I was always self-conscious about the way my chest looked because it literally just went straight down. Always been in like really good shape. I feel like I've always had like a really nice stomach, but my boobs were so small that I almost felt like it went straight and then like my stomach almost came out farther than my chest. And when you really have no curves and you're straight up and down and then you have like a little like hump of a stomach, it was really weird because I was not overweight. I've always been very petite and very small, but my boobs were a very big insecurity of mine. So when I was 19, I decided to get a breast augmentation. And do I think that that was kind of young? Yeah, I think 19 is pretty young to get surgery. I was almost 20. I was almost getting married. But in my mind, I've always been pretty mature for my age. I always felt like I was a little bit more mature and older than I actually was. I graduated high school at 17. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in business when I was 20. I was getting married at 20. So I feel like I was a little bit more mature than most of the other like girls in my age range, you know? So I felt like it was a good decision for me. I had done a lot of research. At that time, social media really wasn't a thing. I think we had MySpace. Facebook was maybe just starting to come out. So it wasn't like I was influenced by social media or I was like, oh, I'm so jealous I don't have big boobs. I just wanted to feel more confident in my body. My boobs were very small. I was very petite. I had no shape. I felt like I had very much of a boyish body, and I'm a very feminine, girly person. So it was something that I felt would give me a little bit more feminine curves. It would make me feel a little bit more girly. It would help me feel the way that I it would make me look the way that I feel on the inside, if that makes any sense. So in January 12th, 2007, I got a breast augmentation. It was so long ago that I don't remember how many cc's I got, which I get that question a lot. I have no clue because I honestly don't remember. But I do know I got saline, and I got it under the muscle and under like my breast. So the insertion part is under my breast. And I had a really easy recovery. I didn't live with my parents at the time because it was right before I was getting married. So I lived with a couple girls, and the recovery actually was pretty easy from what I remember. I had to wear like a strap around here that kind of pushed everything down, because when you do first get implants, I mean, they feel like they're up in your neck. So this just kind of helps push them down. I had to sleep on my back for a while. I couldn't lift my arms like up above here. And it, of course, was a little bit sore. But to be honest, there's nothing about my recovery that I remember that stands out to me as being like difficult or hard. I feel like it was a pretty easy recovery. I have heard that if you get a lift, it is like a little bit more, the recovery is a little more difficult because they have to like sometimes remove like nipples and replace them, and they're moving skin. So depending on what kind of augmentation you get, it really will depend on your recovery. But mine was just simple implants under the muscle, under the breast. And honestly, you guys probably never even knew that I had a boob job. My doctor was Dr. Wong. He still is here locally in Redding. He's done quite a few people that I know their boob jobs, and he was amazing. Most people, like I said, don't know that I have breast implants. They are very natural looking. They are very soft and squishy. I did not go too big for my body. So at that time, I was like a 32A. Like I'm talking, I was tiny. I was a 32A, maybe, if that. And I went to a 32D. And that actually seemed to match and fit my frame really well. They didn't look too big. I didn't have like what I call like porn star boobs. Like they weren't big, huge boobs. They looked great for the size of my body, great for my frame. I do have to say that there was a point psychologically that was like a little bit challenging for me, and that was like getting used to having big boobs, because I was getting newly married and I didn't want to be like super flashy. So for a while it did take a little bit of a transition for me to get comfortable wearing like swimsuits around other people other than my husband, because I was like a little bit self-conscious, like, oh, do they look too big? Do people feel like I'm flaunting them? And you know, I eventually got over that. But there was a little bit of time where I was like a little bit more self-conscious about making sure that I wasn't making other people feel uncomfortable like with my boobs, which I don't think anybody even noticed. It was all kind of me and in my head. Really the only thing that I felt was like a little bit of a hurdle to get over. But I got over it. I'm fine. They're definitely like a part of me now. I've had them for 13 years. They just had their 13th birthday and I forgot to celebrate. So anyways, that was my breast augmentation. Now I have nursed 2 babies. Ethan I nursed about 9 months. He kind of like was over it by 9 months, and Liv I nursed for a full year. I've had 0 issues with nursing, 0 issues with my milk production. I have 0 issues with like nipple sensitivity. Some people have said that they like lose feeling in their nipples. I definitely haven't lost feeling in my nipples. Trust me, nursing, you feel a lot. So I have had 0 issues with being able to nurse 2 babies and obviously like still have like nipple stimulation or whatever. So no issues there. I've had no issues with them leaking or anything. I've had 0 problems. I probably will get them tuned up when I'm done having kids, just because they will be pretty old by then and they will like need a little bit of whether I need to just change them out or whatever. I probably will get them redone. I'm not going bigger. I'll keep them about the same size. But I do have to say, like when I had Ethan, when you have a baby and your milk comes in, no matter what size your boobs are, they're gonna get really big. Well, once I was done nursing him, my boobs shrunk a lot. So I told you guys I was like a 32D, 34C-ish prior prior to having babies. After I had Ethan, I went down to a C cup. So I had lost a whole cup size, meaning if I wouldn't have had any implants, like I would have been flatter after having Ethan than I was prior to having kids, which is a little bit scary because I already felt like I was pretty flat before, but I literally lost a full cup size after nursing. With Liv, my breasts got really, really big, really fast. It was one of the first signs that I noticed that made me think maybe I was pregnant because I outgrew all my bras before I was 6 weeks pregnant. Obviously, once I started nursing her, they got huge, and now they're kind of like going back down, and we'll see where I end up, but probably somewhere between a 32D-ish, 32C, 34C, somewhere around there. So they will fluctuate, you know, if you have children, if you nurse, when your milk goes away, they can fluctuate. They can stay really big or they can get small. In my case, they got a lot smaller. That is my kind of like breast augmentation story. I get questions, like I said, about how many cc's, how was the recovery, did I go under the muscle, did I go under the breast? Those are what I did. That's what I feel like worked best for me. I, again, don't have any experience going through other areas, like the armpit, the nipple. I don't know how many other areas you could go through. But for me, it made most sense to go direct to the source, right under. My boobs are very perky. I've never seen my scar, and even if I look, I can't hardly see it. So for me, that was the best method that I chose, and saline is what I chose for the actual implant. All right, so now we're gonna fast forward to 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. I can't remember if it was 2012 or 2013. I first started getting Botox, and I was 25, around 25, and I'd get just like a little bit in my forehead and a tiny bit right here by my eyes. Try to insert photos throughout this video so you can kind of see like before and afters. But prior to getting Botox, if you watch back through my old videos, you will see like when I smile, I would get such deep lines here. I always would raise my eyebrows. I have an expressive face, and so I would get so many lines, and not just like one or two. I would get so many lines, and then when I would stop making like a raised eyebrow face, the lines were still there. So to me, I felt like I was looking so much older, and I was only 25, and I had so many wrinkles and such deep wrinkles. And so I decided to start getting Botox. Personally, it was wrinkly like a Shar Pei. So I had just deep wrinkles and a ton of them, and they made me feel and look significantly older. I remember getting comments on my videos back when I was 24, 25 years old, where they said, oh my gosh, you look so old, you look like you're in your 40s. And that was like devastating to me, because I'm like, 40 is old. And now that I'm like almost 33, I'm like, 40 really isn't that old. But I looked so much older, and I will include photos because you could just see the wrinkles in my face, just like I looked a lot older. So at 25, I started getting Botox, a tiny bit here, and I think I just got it in my forehead to start with, and then I would get I started getting a little bit around here, a few, maybe a year later, when I kind of got more comfortable with Botox. And so currently, I have gotten Botox, well now, let's see, 25, I'm almost 8 years I've been getting Botox. And where I go now is the Aesthetic Center in El Dorado Hills. I love them. I have never loved my Botox more in my whole entire life. All about the placement. If they can place it just right, it could do wonders for your face. So I get it in my forehead, and when they do it in my forehead, they do it so that it kind of lifts my brows a little bit. So if you are somebody that struggles with a little bit of hooded eyes, like I have a little bit of hooding out here, and I love wearing winged liner. I know that sounds silly, but when they do it, they can kind of lift my brows ever so slightly that I can actually wear winged liner, because I can't do winged liner usually if I don't have Botox, because this part hangs too heavy and I can't do winged liner. So they can place it so that it lifts up your brow. The place that I get it is right here. These are your 11s. So when you furrow your brows, sometimes you can get those deep lines that go up and down. So, I mean, I can still move my brows, but see, there's no lines there. Also, when I smile, I'm not getting deep creases there, which I get, if I don't have Botox, I have very, one or two really deep ones, and then probably, not lying, 10 small ones, and then they make these little fine lines under my eyes. The other place that I get it, which is the first time I ever got it, was this last time, is your bunny lines. So when you scrunch your nose, these lines, I had some pretty deep ones. I still have the lines because we didn't put much in there, but it really did soften them quite a bit. Another place you can get it, which I kind of want to do this next, is your jaw. Clench my jaw or grind my teeth or something when I sleep, because I've been waking up with my jaw is so sore. So you can get it in your jaw to loosen that up so you don't do that anymore. You can get it in your neck, I think, is one of the places that they said. And I'm trying to think what else. I'm looking in the mirror trying to figure out where else you can get Botox. But those are the places I get it, is forehead, helps raise my brow, along my eyes. I did my bunny lines, which I actually really liked it. And right here. You also can get a little bit of Botox in your upper lip or your bottom lip and do what's called a lip flip. So it will help, especially if you have no upper lip, like I had no upper lip. It will kind of invert it up a little bit and give you like a really pretty pout if you don't want filler, but you want to have like a little bit of a pout. Do it in conjunction with filler and have a really pretty look. Now, the amount of Botox that you get is going to vary depending on every single face and exactly what you're trying to accomplish. I like to have movement in my face, but I also don't want the lines. So you can go from very frozen to where like you can't really make an expression, and I'm sure you guys have all seen actor or actresses that like have it so frozen that they can't make any expression. Or you can have it, you know, on the opposite side of the spectrum where it's just very, very natural and it's very minimal. So I get probably between 40 and 50 units for my whole like face and my lip flip. So it's gonna, like I said, vary. I have very, very deep lines here and on my forehead, so that takes quite a bit of Botox because of how severe my wrinkles are, and we really want to, you know, tone those babies down. As far as costs, they vary quite a bit. Where I go at the Aesthetic Center, it's $12 a unit, but if you mention my name, they gave everybody who comes in and is a new customer or new client, $2 off each unit of Botox for your first time. So $10 per unit versus $12. This is not sponsored by them, by the way. I just love them, and they have been so great to let me pass on discounts to my followers. And so many of you have DM'd me on Instagram and told me that you've gone and you went and saw Melissa and you loved her. And so I'm so happy because that is who does mine. She's an amazing injector, and I love her so much. So depending on where you live, depending on where you're going, it will vary. So it can get pretty pricey. So it can be pricey. It is an investment. It will last different lengths of time depending on your metabolism. I metabolize filler and Botox so quickly. So I have to go every 3 months for my Botox because it just wears off so quickly. I had gotten Botox right before I got pregnant. Probably like 2 weeks or a week before I had actually gotten pregnant. And my Botox seemed to last so much longer because my metabolism must have slowed down during my pregnancy, because I felt like my Botox lasted like 6 months. So it really just depends on your metabolism. As far as injecting Botox when you're pregnant or breastfeeding, you're gonna have to talk to your physicians. I've heard conflicting stories. Some say yes, you can. Some places say no, we don't do that. From everything I've read research-wise on the internet, there is no known side effects, whether you're pregnant or breastfeeding, that can pass on to the baby because it is a localized area. However, I'm not a doctor. I don't know for sure. So if you are in that situation, talk to your healthcare provider, talk to the place you're planning on going, see what their policy is, and obviously trust your gut, do what you feel is best for you and your baby. But I do get questions about that a lot, so I thought about it. I personally did not get any filler or Botox when I was pregnant. Moving on to lips. Now, I will post some photos of my before lips, like my smile and just my lips. I had no upper lip. If you guys have been with me from the beginning, you know I had no upper lip and literally no lip. I would smile and it was the most gummy smile. I had just the tiniest lips. So in 2014 is the first time that I started getting filler, and I got very little, very little. I think I maybe got a quarter of a syringe, maybe half, like a quarter on top and a quarter on butter. Like nobody even knew that I'd gotten my lips done. It was that subtle. And I just kept building at that pace very, very slowly And I liked my lips for a really long time. Back in August of last year, I wanted to do a lip flip because I'd heard about a lip flip, really wanted to try that. So I went into the place that I'd gone for years and I was like, I want a lip flip. I didn't know what it was. I just had heard about the lip flip. I had seen or had people tell me, get a lip flip. It's so great. So that's what I asked for. And unfortunately, they didn't know what a lip flip was because a lip flip is a few units of Botox just in the right here of your lips. Well, they put a lot of filler in my lip and no Botox. So what happened was so much filler was put in my upper lip that I don't know if it was the filler was placed incorrectly, if it was too much filler, or if somehow like it migrated, because I have read that filler can migrate if it's not done correctly. So I had so much filler all up here. That is not where you want filler. If you go back through my videos, you can see it was not a cute look. It looked thick right here. I looked like I had a mustache. You guys have probably noticed with other YouTubers that have, like girls that have gotten their filler dissolved, they had the same thing. You have a shelf and it looks like you have a mustache. It's not a cute look. It's not the way filler and your lips are supposed to look. So that was really hard for me. So I went through August, September, October to November, 4 months of really hating my lips. It wasn't the way that I wanted them to look. They looked and felt super thick and puffy. I looked like I had a mustache. I looked like I had a shelf. I was really insecure about it because I really didn't like it. And so then I went to the aesthetic center and I talked with Melissa and she's like, girl, we have to dissolve it all. Like we have to start from scratch. And that was like terrifying to me because I thought, oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've had like no filler at all in my lips and I'm really scared. I don't want to go back to looking like I did before with zero lips. And so I just knew that that was what we were going to have to do in order to fix the problem because they were uneven here and I had too much filler up here. So I had previously had a tiny bit of my lips dissolved at one point and it was like, it feels like molten hot lava. So I was a little bit scared to get them all dissolved on the top because it was like, oh my gosh, I remember it being so painful. But Melissa was so good. She had this little vibrating thing to help distract. She numbed me really well. It still hurt, but it was more just a little bit uncomfortable. And she dissolved my upper lip and due to scheduling, I couldn't get back up there because it's about 2.5, 3 hour drive until December. So I went back in December and I was like, let's start fresh. I got all that filler out. I was so happy. Even though my lips were smaller, we only dissolved the top. I already felt so much better because it had looked so bad with all that filler where it wasn't supposed to be, that even though my lips were a lot smaller, they weren't as small as they were before I ever started getting filler, but they were a lot smaller, and I'll insert a photo. You can definitely tell that they were smaller. But I was so excited to be able to like have them done in the shape that I wanted. So it's really important that you go to somebody that is up to date on training, is constantly doing continuing education, learning new techniques. That I never realized how important that really is. And so it really is important. So what we kind of did is more of like filling in the center part and less on the outside. Because sometimes if you fill too much out here, you start to get the Ronald McDonald lips. And you guys know what I'm talking about. But we kind of keep it centralized right here. So it gives that really pretty pout. And we kind of went slow to begin with because, again, we wanted to make sure it's not going to travel up here just in case like that was what my lips were going to try to do. So we did it. It looked amazing. I was so happy. I had very minimal swelling. Prior, when I used to get filler from the place I'd been going to for quite a while, I always had these hard bumps inside my lips that would take a week to 2 weeks to go away, like big old hard nodules all inside my lips. The 2 times that I've gone to the aesthetic center, I have not had any hard balls in my lips, which is crazy. And I've had very, very minimal swelling. And so I went in December, she did it. I decided, okay, I like the way they look, but I want them a little bit fuller. So I recently we added just a tiny bit more. And I love the way they look. I love my smile, which I actually get told that I have veneers. I 100% don't. have veneers. Like I have a little tooth there. They're not perfectly straight. I did do Invisalign though, but these are my teeth. I don't have veneers. So I love the shape of my lips. I love the way they look. I feel so good with them. I don't think that they're too big. I don't think that they look really unnatural. I don't think that they look like big filler lips. So they're very natural, but plump and pretty looking. So I love them. Now we're gonna move on to my impending surgery. Dun, dun, dun. I'm so excited. It is, what's today? Wednesday, February 5th. My surgery is on the 10th. So it's in holy crap, it's in 5 days. 5 days. And I'm really excited. So what I'm doing is I'm getting rhinoplasty. That's obviously no surgery. Rhinoplasty just makes me think of rhinoceros, which makes me feel like my nose is even bigger than it is. But I'm getting rhinoplasty, and basically I'm getting this hump. So if I turn sideways, do you see how I have this hump here? And then it kind of like goes down. I'm getting that fixed. I am also doing a super cool project with the Aesthetic Center, all about my story of why I'm getting rhinoplasty and all of that. So you guys will see that because it will be up on my channel. But I am getting this hump taken down. You guys, if you watch any of my tutorials, any of my videos, for years I've talked about, you know, when I contour my nose or just talk about my nose in general, I have a big dent in on this side, which is actually, my cartilage is asymmetrical. So it's thicker on one side than the other. And I have this like indentation. When I smile, I have this line that goes across here. There's just a few things that I like don't love about my nose. Now, I could probably go the rest of my life with this nose and be totally happy and fine and live a great, fulfilled life. But it has been something that has bothered me for years, ever since I was like in grade school. I got teased about having a big nose. I feel like when I hit puberty and I got a little bit older, my nose got bigger. I feel like the hump on my nose got more prominent, and it's just something that I have always wanted to fix or change. And so I'm finally doing it, and I'm really excited. So like I said, we're gonna take this hump down. We're going to refine the tip a little bit and even it out, and then shorten my nose a little bit, because if you can see, now if you look at a lot of people's profile, their nose just goes out a little bit farther than their chin. Mine goes quite a bit farther than my chin, and if we take this hump out and we go straight, it's gonna make my nose look super long. So we're gonna just shorten it just a tiny bit. Not a ton, just a little bit. So from front on, I should look pretty much like normal. It's gonna be my side profile. That's really gonna be the more drastic change. I'm really excited. Now, as far as rhinoplasty costs, they really can vary all over the spectrum. And it's gonna be different depending on what they're doing to your nose. If you are having a septoplasty, so you have a deviated septum, that's gonna be different. If you're carving down the bones here, that's probably gonna be different. Mine is a closed rhinoplasty, so they're not cutting my nose open and doing that thing. They're going through my nostril. So all of those things will change the cost of your surgery. But mine is gonna be closed, they're gonna go through my nostril, and that's that. So I'm really excited. I am going to vlog the experience of the recovery because I just found those videos so helpful for me that I would love to be able to contribute and have a video on my experience and what I found to be helpful in recovery and the swelling, bruising, all of that. When I shared about it on Instagram that I was getting rhinoplasty, so many of you actually shared that you have had it, or your daughter had it, or your sister, your mom, or your friend, and how much they loved it and how excited they were and how they wished they would have done it sooner. So I'm really excited. I feel like I'm almost 33. I am doing it for the right reasons. I'm doing it because it's something that I know will make me feel better. I will like my side profile. There's a lot of things you're gonna see in another video that I talk about, kind of like my insecurities with it and how I've kind of coped, I guess, with being really insecure about my nose, which is interesting because I tend to think I'm a pretty confident person, but it is something that like I obviously can't change on my own. I can't change it with, you know, eating healthy and with fitness, and I can't change it with makeup because it washes off, and the makeup can only kind of alter, manipulate the front view of me, but as soon as I turn sideways, that big hump is very much there and you can't really conceal that. So I'm very excited about it. Nervous, obviously, but very excited. So when you see this, I'm either uploading this on the day of surgery or after. So I'll already be out of surgery. So make sure you follow me on Instagram so you guys can see kind of my little check-ins. Depending on how awful I look, we'll see if I check in on Instagram. I don't want to scare anybody. So those are my experiences. It's what I've gotten done, totally transparent. I have only ever got filler in my lips. I have only gotten Botox in my face here and on my lip flip. I have had a breast augmentation 13 years ago, which it's funny because I posted that I was like at a doctor's office sick and somebody's like, oh yeah, you're getting a boob job. I'm like, honey, that's old news. I got it 10 years ago. So some people think like, oh, it's all of a sudden this new thing that I got. No, it's 13 years ago I had it. So long ago. So anyways, that's all I've gotten done. My rhinoplasty is on the 10th. Very excited about that. Those are the ins and outs, the nitty gritty, the dirty, the tea of all the things that I've gotten done, which really isn't much at all. But I thought I would share it with you guys. I thought it would be maybe helpful for you guys if you were thinking about getting it, or if you were just like generally curious, like, what has that girl gotten done? What work has she gotten done? That is it. It's really nothing too exciting. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.